Hello, this is Mike from Windows7Forums.com. I'm the owner and founder of Windows7Forums.com, and in this tutorial, we will show you how to install Windows Home Server. Windows Home Server is actually quite an annoyance to install, unfortunately. However, once you get it working, it is a viable commercial product that allows you to host and run applications necessary to back up your computers in your home, especially if you have more than one computer. As you can see, we're here at the Windows Home Server setup. We choose our language. In this case, it is United States, our location. We choose our storage device and we choose new installation. This is after plugging in our DVD disk. And we go to I accept with the end user license agreement here. And we will not put in a product key because we can't give you a product key on this video, but we can still proceed for 30 days without one. Now, something that's important to note about Windows Home Server, and here we're actually naming the server, but something important to note about the installation process is that on an Intel i7 Extreme Edition processor with 3.3 gigahertz of computing power, with 2 gigabytes of DDR3 memory, this installation, and also with 4 solid-state drives in a RAID 0 array, this installation took approximately 42 minutes. So if you don't have a lot of time, you will not have too much trouble once the installation starts, which it now has, but you will, in fact, require a lot of time. Here we see Windows doing a lot of installation procedures that we're very familiar with if we've done installations before. We answer a question here or there, and of course it says setup will take 52 minutes to complete. In fact, it's pretty much correct in this instance. It actually took 42 minutes, and we're not going to go through that whole 42-minute process, obviously, because it's quite long, but we will go through the key aspects of it. I would say that during this process of installation, there are at least a dozen reboots that take place or more during the process of Windows Home Server installation. And what you should know is that Windows Home Server is limited to 5 computers. So if you have more than 5 computers in your home, you do not want to use Windows Home Server. You want to start looking at options like Windows Small Business Server 2003 or 2008. Windows Home Server is actually a modified version of Windows Small Business Server 2003. It's a little bit limited, but it has extra features, an additional user interface, and multimedia features that are designed for home users and aren't as complex to configure and to manage. But you're going to see how this installation goes, and as you see, we're copying the installation files, and it's a long road from here, so we're going to skip to the next step right away. Coming back now, the one good thing that Windows Home Server installation does do is that it pretty much tells you every single thing it's doing to almost a fault. The installation process is so long and so convoluted that it really gets on your nerves after a while. I can't imagine doing this without being paid a huge sum of money for for an organization. But the installation process is much longer than Server 2003 and Server 2008. But here you see something interesting. Upon the first reboot, we start seeing something very familiar, and this is very similar to not only the Windows XP installation user interface that we're normally used to when installing Windows XP, but it is in fact the Windows Server 2003 for Small Business Server user interface installation. And we're not obviously installing Windows Server 2003 Small Business Server, but we can see the foundation of what this actually is. Windows Home Business Server is Windows Small Business Server 2003 for small business with restrictions and with a new user interface that makes managing it very much easier for the home user. With Windows Server 2003 for small business. This requires an information technology manager or administrator or someone with a certification in Windows Server 2003 to really understand how every feature works, whether it's terminal services, IIS server, SQL. With the home server, it's more of a matter of being able to back up files on a couple computers with a client that's installed on those machines. It's more or less about being able to share out files and back them up very easily, and also being able to share out multimedia content to all of your computers at once. It's basically could be considered a home base for all your computers, and it allows for a certain amount of remote desktop activity. So you can sort of try to remote in, whether you're at a hotel or on a business trip and trying to get back onto your home computer or something. But ultimately, as you see, yeah, Windows Server 2003 is booting up, and it'll do this about a dozen more times before we're done. So we'll just go ahead and skip on to the next step now. When we implement Windows servers in a professional environment, we tend to focus on the idea of network infrastructure and network management. What Windows Home Server intends to do or attempts to do is to totally knock that out for the home user. And we see a lot of weird stuff going on with the installer. We see that it takes a very long time. It's sort of a hybrid between the Windows server, small business server installation slash XP installation mode with the Vista style or Windows 7 style PE loader installer. But really what's going on here is it's trying to do everything for you so that you don't really have to answer any questions. And that's probably why it takes so long. They've sort of, to put it bluntly, made this server idiot-proof. So if you don't know really how to manage a server, that's okay. And basically the whole concept is we're going to guide you. As a matter of fact, one thing you'll see is a task that most people who do a server installation will do after they install the operating system. And we're about 20 minutes in and we're nowhere near complete with this install. But it'll go ahead and actually do a check disk of the drive automatically. It'll scan the drive for errors, which is something we never see with a Windows installation. It's almost like unheard of to see this. I certainly haven't seen it before. I've done quite a few Windows Server installs, and I've never seen it do this. I could be just bugging out here, but I really have never seen it do this before. And it'll go on and on. It'll restart more and more for about an hour, and this is with very fast hard drives. So if you have like one hard drive, this is highly unrecommended. For a server, you need to have at least 2 drives. 4 is even better. If you have 6 or 8, great. I mean, you really need to have a lot of horsepower to run this type of thing, even with the home server. The home server can work on requirements that are very small, but if you're trying to back up all your files on all your other computers, you're definitely going to need a lot of hard drive space. So let's continue on and see how this goes. Overall, the installation is not very difficult, and it's pretty much once you start at the very beginning and input the initial information, the installation will take a long time, so you can go out, go to the movies, come back, something like that. But you'll really appreciate the fact that when you come back, you'll have a server waiting for you, and it's ready to be set up. And the configuration process is actually much more interesting and much more fun than watching this installer. So pretty much this is how it goes. The installer doesn't really change anywhere from here. Perhaps one of the most frustrating points is one we'll just zoom to real quick, and that'll be the end of the video. By far, Windows Home Server must be the longest server out of Microsoft's large collection of server operating systems. It must be the longest one to install because it's pretty much trying, as I said before, to do everything for you. But one thing that's very interesting and very annoying is this one part here where it like just stuff pops up out of nowhere while it's doing this installing updates thing. Right now it's telling you it's installing updates, but meanwhile you're getting like some kind of user interface that you really shouldn't see while the operating system is being installed. And you can actually navigate around and do all sorts of things and check things. You might actually be able to open some programs. And if you plan on doing this while you're doing the install, that's highly not recommended. Then it sort of like disappears